Hey, final forms, end of series power-ups, ass pulls, whatever you want to call them, they are a big deal. These can be some of the most exciting moments in the entire series if done right. Or they can be a total dud, last like 2 chapters and you never think about them again, or if you do think about them, you wish they were around longer. This is something I've had on my mind a lot lately because I have a question on my mind, and that is, more often than not, do end of series power-ups or final forms get shafted, or are they used efficiently? So I want to take a look at just a few examples of what I'm talking about here and see if I can come to any sort of conclusion on whether or not these things are done dirty or if they're used just the right amount. So before I begin, just in case there's any confusion, I want to take a second to explain what exactly I'm talking about. So these, in my head, a final form or an end of series power-up are things that happen at the end of the series. It's the final, like, greatest height that a character can achieve, whether it be from a hero or a villain. But all my examples today are of the heroes, because I think villain final power-ups, final forms are a separate thing that I would actually like to talk about on its own eventually. But today, just the good guys. Generally, these are something that like kind of come up in the spur of the moment, or it's something that the character has been working towards throughout the final arc, or maybe even the whole series in some cases. Those are pretty rare though. They're just really cool looking designs with cool powers that only get used for the final handful of chapters, like at max 20 if you're lucky, and that's really pushing it. And that line of thinking is exactly what got me thinking about this video, because do we see these things enough? Let's talk about it. As always with all my other videos that I do these things in, I will put a sound effect and the title of the series I'm talking about before I continue speaking, so that you know to skip ahead to the next segment if you want to avoid spoilers for the given series. Or if you just think that even knowing a series has a final power-up in general is a spoiler, then you might just want to leave. I guess just click off the video. See you later. Starting off with Naruto, we have the Sage of Six Paths mode, or Six Paths Sage mode. The wording of this kind of varies depending on who you ask. I don't really think it matters all that much. This form debuted in chapter 670, and the series would later end at chapter 700. So, hey, 30 chapters? Starting off pretty strong. This form actually, amongst a lot of the other things I have on this list, probably got the most screen time out of all of them. But I have a unique issue with this one, and it's that I think every other form he used before it is way cooler. Now, I'm not just talking about the design, I'm also talking about the power set. I think the power set of this form is just ridiculous and not very fun. This is all my, like, endgame Naruto hate. I don't want to call it hate, it's a soft hatred, because I love Naruto, but it's so ridiculous. We're talking like the guy's throwing planets and shit. Not literally, but you know, if you've seen it or read it, you know what I'm talking about. Just a bit much. So to me, this form is frustrating in a different way as the other ones, because yeah, 30 chapters of screen time, and that is kind of an exaggeration. It's not like he's in every single chapter after that, but honestly, he basically is. He pretty much stays in this form from that chapter to the end of the series. So pretty good showcase. We get it for about 30 chapters. We get to see everything it can do, and then never see it again. It doesn't even appear in Boruto at all, which is really interesting. I don't know if he can't use it anymore or what. I don't remember that ever being mentioned before in Boruto. But yeah, this really did just stick here, and that's it. But I'd say overall, it's effective. It works. If you like it especially, I think you're probably happy with its inclusion. You might be a little frustrated about the fact that it's not in Boruto at all, but I mean, I think if you just view this as Naruto, the original series, you don't really look beyond it at, you know, supplementary material, it's fine. It's about all you can ask for, really. This is one of the better examples on this list. But me personally, I don't really like it all that much. I would take any of the other forms that he had before this over this. Alright, now Bleach, Ichigo has a form called the Horn of Salvation near the end of the series, specifically at chapter 676, and the series ends at 686. So, hey, 10 chapters of screen time, not bad. Oh, wait, sorry, no, it's actually just in 2 of those chapters. Yeah. This is, honest to God, the coolest looking thing I've ever seen. I think this is his coolest form. I love it so dearly. But it has 2 chapters before it's just done. The whole rest of the fight doesn't whip it out. It's just, he uses it there and gone. But despite, you know, the whole Bleach ending things, if you know, you know, the Bleach ending is incredibly rushed and just a strange read in general. I do feel like there was intention here with only having this form in 2 chapters, because it is an iteration of his Vasto Lord form from much earlier in the series. And that similarly only got, I don't know how many chapters off the top of my head, but only a handful, probably 2, honestly, chapters, maybe a little more actually. I feel like that was more of screen time. So, callback, tribute, maybe, but I feel like he should have used this more, because the whole point of Vasto Lord only being used that one time for a brief amount of time is because he lost control. Like that, he's not supposed to use that ability. It's he lost himself. This is controlled. He's using it with his mind still intact, is basically what's happening. That's a very oversimplified explanation of this form, by the way. It's not that straightforward, but that's the gist of it. So I really think he should have just wrote it out for the rest of the fight. I think he should have just been in this form. If I were to write this, that's what I would do, but I'm not Kubo, man. What we do see of it is awesome, though. I just wish there was more. I'm really hoping the anime does some heavy lifting and we get a lot more screen time with it, as it's been doing with a lot of other things. We'll see. High hopes for it, though. I'm excited to see it animated either way, no matter what they do, but we'll see when we get there. But as it is in the manga, I'm going to say this one got shafted. All right, next up, this is kind of a weird one for me to talk about, but it's going to be Carnage Deku, Overlay Deku. I don't know what the hell this thing's name is. So people call it different things. I don't know where the Overlay name comes from. I don't know where the Carnage name comes from either, actually. I don't know what this is called. So this is something that debuted in chapter 412, and the series ends at chapter 430. But just like the last thing I talked about, it's really only in like 2 chapters. I think maybe 3 in this case. So a little bit of an upgrade, but yeah, and this is especially comical because he loses his powers also immediately after using this, so it's just gone. Like, even if there's like some kind of movie or sequel series, which is unlikely anyways, but he will never use this again. This is gone forever. So if you're a huge fan, I hope you enjoyed the couple chapters and like 1 anime episode. I didn't. I think this form kind of sucks, to be completely brutally honest with you. I don't really see a lot of people talk about this form. It's kind of, you know, it's calling back to the Vigilante Deku days, which a lot of people like. This is just, I guess, a little bit of representation of that. I really barely understand what this form is in general. I don't really get it, but it does look cool, I guess. I just don't particularly care about it. And again, it doesn't last very long. I think all the stuff that happens after this form is a lot stronger material. Like just him being in, I think him in the t-shirt is a way better like final form than this thing. But by definition, this is his final form. This is the last thing he turns into that's not just his normal base form. My ruling on this one is that it was shafted, but it also kind of just sucked. So that's the official ruling on that one. You cannot argue against it. That's official now. It's locked in the books. Alright, how about Fire Force? A series I really enjoy and have been thinking about a lot lately with the final season coming up. We'll be seeing this animated soon. This is Shinra Bonsho Man, which debuted in chapter 296, and the series will end at 301. So, not a lot, but he's in this form in all of those chapters aside from the epilogue chapters, which is 2 of those. So I guess it's only like 3 or 4 chapters, but hey, it's all awesome. Literally might just be the coolest thing ever. I love this form so much. It is just awesome. It's very reminiscent of like Gear 5 conceptually, where he's just like the whole world is his playground. He's just having fun. He's just doing his whole thing, being a hero. Awesome stuff. I love this. This is one of my favorites of all time, to be honest. I just think it's so creative and fun. And you only get to see it for a couple chapters. Does that suck? Yes. But it is effective, and this is one of those cases where I don't really mind the fact that it wasn't introduced earlier, because it only makes sense to be a limited power-up. Like, this can't be something he can just do forever. So while yes, my previous statements still stand about how I think it does suck, it's a shame that these designs are only used for a handful of chapters and then never seen again, not used enough. But in this case, narratively, I think it's kind of perfect. You really couldn't have done this any better. Technically, I guess you could have introduced this earlier in the arc, and he was like spending the whole arc fighting in this form, but I think that moment near the end of him like awakening into this form or whatever is, I get chills like thinking about it. It's so cool. So like, I don't know, man, it works. Is it a shame? Yeah, but this is one of the cases where I really just don't mind at all. I think it was handled super, super well. All right, on to JoJo for a bit. I want to talk about a couple different parts here because this happens a lot, but the one I want to focus on is Gold Experience Requiem, which debuts on chapter 147, and the series will end at 155. And this one's even extra funny because, like, it not only is it short-lived, it actually literally, seriously, does one thing. And that's it. That one thing it does is very cool, but it is still one thing, and that's it. And it's not like he loses this, he just has this now. This is permanent. His stand is awakened. He has this shit. But then Giorno's gone for all of part 6, obviously, and then the universe is over. Obviously, it's still fine by the end of part 6, but we're done with it. Araki was done with it, and we're on to Steel Ball Run. So this is a weird one because, man, it's sick. But wow, shafted would be an understatement in this case. I think this one was like mega shafted. I really wish more was done with this stand. Seriously, I wanted to see anything from it. It's so cool. It's ridiculous. It is totally busted, but I just would have loved to see more from it. It's awesome. I think it's such a shame that we get it for no time at all, basically one chapter, and it's just done. We don't even get to see it anymore. It's over. So the reason I wanted to focus on this one from JoJo as a whole is because I think this is the worst example of it. It is incredibly frustrating. It's cool. Yeah, I really like it. It's a great moment. But shit, man, one chapter, basically. I think it's like 2, maybe. Fuck. It hurts. But I do want to talk about 2 other examples within the series itself. First of all being Star Platinum the World, which obviously happens at the end of part 3. But that has the benefit of being used throughout all of part 4, as JoJo as a side character, and then also part 6 later, which not a whole lot in part 6. He's at the beginning and the end, but still, that's plenty of time. All of part 4 is enough. He gets to use it throughout that whole part. We get to see it in full effect, and it's awesome. So I think, honestly, that's one of the best examples ever because you get, him doing it as the protagonist at the end of his series, and then throw him in as a side character in part 4, and he's doing it through the whole thing. It's really, really cool. I think that was done super well. And another one that I think was done phenomenally is Tusk Act 4 from Steel Ball Run, part 7. This is something that happens, right near the end. It's the finale of the Valentine fight. And, when you read that the first time, you're probably thinking like, all right, cool. There's the end of series power up. You got to use it once. Sucks, but cool. But no, then there's a whole nother fight afterwards to end the Steel Ball Run race, and he uses it throughout that whole thing, and it's awesome. So I think that is perfect. That's probably as perfect as you can get for a power-up introduced that late, because you get the showcase, basic understanding of what it does during the Valentine fight, and then the Diego fight, you get a proper showcase of pretty much everything it can do, and that's perfect. I think that is the perfect example of what I'm talking about here. JJK, Yuji's domain expansion. I have 2 more to talk about, The last one is kind of a weird one. That's a sort of a bonus pick, but collectively these two are what I think to be the best examples. But again, the last one's a little strange. I'll talk about it when I get to it. But this one, Super Saiyan 3 from Dragon Ball. This is basically perfect. This debuts in chapter 474, and the series will end at chapter 519. 45 chapters with this form at least floating around your mind. Obviously, it's not used throughout all of those. Could it have used a little more screen time? Sure, but this form does exist and is usable by Goku through that entire last arc, basically. Not the whole thing, obviously, because it's, well, actually, no, literally the whole thing, because he has this form before the arc even starts, like in lore, but he doesn't use it till 474, and then from there, you know about it, and he can and will use it. I think it gets a very healthy amount of screen time for an end of series power-up, and I think this is probably the best way to do this. It's you introduce it like beginning or middle of the final arc, and then they just have that through the whole thing. Obviously it varies. I've talked about examples in this video where it works to introduce it at the very end, but here I think it was handled perfectly. It's really damn cool. It's such a cool look, and even though Goku himself doesn't use it for a period of time, Gotenks uses it. So the form itself is still getting screen time, even though Goku's not the one doing it. And then obviously he uses it again at the end fight to much greater effect and get a full showcase. Probably the best example on here. It's my personal favorite example of this because it's utilized just the right amount for me personally. I think this was handled very, very well. Maybe a hot take. I don't know. Let me know. And now the last thing I want to talk about is Gear 5 from One Piece. This debuts in chapter 1044, and the series is still going, but we're currently on 1167 as of recording this. I don't know if this is the last power-up technically, because we're still reading the story, but if we take everything that's being said to us about it at face value, it should be. This is the peak. This is Luffy's peak. Can't go past the peak. Could there still be another power-up after this, near the end of the series? Maybe. Probably. I don't know. I hope not, personally, because I think this could end up being the best example of all time, because we get so much time with it. It is introduced, at the end of Wano, and we've seen it a ton since then. Oda's been spamming it, to be honest. I feel like we should have had less of it, but it's awesome. It's used so effectively every single time. I can't get enough of it. I love it. I still love it as much as I did when it was first revealed. And that's very, very impressive. Obviously, putting this in this video is kind of a gamble because, again, we really don't know if this is his final power-up, his final form. No clue. But I really hope it to be, and if it is, then definitively I think this is the best example on the video, unless Gear 5 really shits the bed later on. I don't know. Anything could happen, I suppose. So what's the verdict here? Do these power-ups get shafted? Too inconclusive. I think a lot do, some don't. I would say most do, but there are exceptions where I think they get just the right amount of screen time to where you understand them, you like them, and you'd like to see more from it, but you're fine with what you got. Whereas the bad examples, you might like them, you might understand them, and you definitely wanted more. You might only get like 1 or 2 chapters of it, and then you're out of luck. There's nothing else for you. So yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know any examples that you have that I didn't cover here. I might cover them again in another video where I talk about the same thing. I do want to talk about the villain side of this at some point as well. But yeah, let me know any examples that I didn't talk about here. Let me know if you think overall these power-ups, these final forms need more screen time, or if you think generally they're done well enough. I really do feel like it is too inconclusive to say a general blanket statement like that, because it really just varies from series to series. But let's keep the conversation going in the comments. Tell me some more good examples, tell me some more bad ones. See if we can come up with any sort of concrete answer on this, even though I really don't think that's possible. Either way, still an interesting thought. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And remember, you can also become a channel member at 2 tiers. First tier being the Nice Prisoner tier, which will get your name put in the credits and early access to new videos. and the Super Nice Prisoner tier, which will get you both of those, as well as your name read out loud right now. So thank you to DJ Tengen, Hex, and Enzididin, Milu Kitty, Braden Farrell, Halfpipe, Rafker, the Cosmere64, Cosmic, and Key to the Skies. And also Iliadis. Thank you all so much for your support, and thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys in whatever you decide to watch next. Take it easy, guys.